Want to know why the rich keep winning in real estate? No, it's not luck at all. It is strategy. I have had my license now for almost 30 years, and I have learned a lot and made a lot of money from my clients who became rich and wealthy in their real estate investments. I have learned from them, I've made mistakes, and I've regretted. And I'm going to share the 10 secrets that they have. The first rule is location, location, location. Oh boy. Yep, we've all heard about it. Location, location, location. But guess what? Most people ignore it because it is too generic. They've heard it over and over and over again. But one of my clients who is very wealthy now from real estate that I've sold and he's bought through others told me the secret about the location. You make money when you buy the property, not when you sell the property. And the number one rule is you have to buy the property in the right location. Does not mean that it has to be in the prime location or the best location ever, but make sure that the location is not in a dilapidated area, in an area that is going down. You don't want to buy the biggest house and the best house surrounded by all other, quote, shitty homes. What you want to do is buy a shitty home or a fixer-upper or a mediocre home surrounded by nice, expensive homes. So location is very key. Would you buy a house right next to the railroad track? Would you buy a house under the flight path? Or would you buy a house that has a view, that has a nice cul-de-sac, has good schools, has a hospital? So there's a lot of things you can do to make sure the location is right. If you can recall, a lot of people during the COVID bought homes because of urgency, because they were flying out the door within an hour. They saw the homes online, they went to the open house, and they bought without looking at neighborhoods. Now, a lot of those people are regretting buying because they're finding out, well, there was a railroad track behind, or it's not the best area, or there's a power lines right behind the house, or it's right next to the freeway. They never thought about it. Now they want to sell or thinking about selling, and they're stuck with poor location. So guess what? When they sell, they will get lower than what other homes in the neighborhood will sell for because they have better location. The second rule is buy when everybody else is not buying or scared to buy a house. Case in example, right now, I just sold a house to two investors. They bought it for rental. Even though they're high price, even though they're high interest rate, they know that they're buying it well in great location and there's no competition. But guess what? Because the real estate housing is slow right now in the sense number of units being sold, and because the rents are high, these people bought the homes knowing they're going to get high rents and they are breaking even or having cash flow. So you always have to have money, and we'll talk about equity later on. But people, smart people, wealthy people always have funds available when a good property comes, when there's less competition, when everybody is not buying. They go and buy because they get deals. Also in 2008, I remember when I was there during the recession, a lot of properties that I sold to investors, rentals. They bought 3 properties, 4 properties, 5 properties. The properties in Riverside County at that time selling for $300 went down to $150,000. Guess what? These people bought. Now those properties that were bought for $150,000 are worth $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. So they bought right. There was a downturn when everybody else was scared and holding on, and they made rich out of it. It's a strategy they use, and it works for them all the time, and it still works now. The wealthy don't try to time the exact bottom. They buy quality properties when everyone else is running away. Fear is a signal. The third thing that wealthy or smart investors or buyers do, or more like what they don't do, is they do not rush into deals. They don't rush into buying deals. They are patient. They don't fall for the first great deal. Wealthy investors don't play that game at all. They slow down, they investigate, and they run the numbers. One great deal will beat out 5 rushed ones. By the way, hang around until the end of this video because I have 10 great points what wealthy people do. I also have a bonus which is very easy to follow, and you can apply that yourself. Number 4 is build a deal network. This is very important, very, very important. Here's something most homeowners don't realize. If you're looking for investment property or good deals, they're not on Zillow, they're not on Realtor.com, they're not on Redfin. What you need to do is hook up with 2 or 3 lenders, 2 or 3 realtors, build relationship with them, and let them find you a deal. The wealthy have a network of realtors, contractors, and lenders, feeding them opportunities before they even hit the market. I have a very good friend of mine. He keeps calling me all the time. Every 2 months, he calls me up. Hey, Mike, you have a deal for me. One day he calls me up, and one of the agents had a fourplex for sale. It was not on the market. I asked him what the deal was. The fourplex was about 1.7. It was below the rental market, but the seller had to sell right away. I called my friend. We put the deal together, all cash. We agreed on terms and condition. 1.7, sold it, and then 2.5 years later, my client who bought it for 1.7 just sold it for 2.2. After spending about $80,000 into the units to make it up to par, he made close to $250,000 in profit in just 3 years or less. The reason is because he had a network. He knew me, I knew the agent who had the property, and we put the deal together. So great deals don't come on the market. A lot of the great agents, great realtors, great lenders have a network of people who buy, who perform. So by the time it hits the market, it's already gone. So if you're looking in Redfin and Zillow, you're making a big mistake. If you want better deals, build better connections. Go to open houses. Stay persistent with top agents. Show up and keep in touch. Deals go to people who are visible, not the ones who casually browse online. By the way, I belong to the top 3% of all the agents in the nation. If you need to network or get connected to top agents who know what they're doing, who knows the local market, who knows how to negotiate for investors, people looking for deals, we have those contacts. Link is below. Hit us up and we'll refer you to great lenders and great realtors. Tip number 5 is you have to follow what's happening in your local market. And the best way to do that is follow the developers. What are these big developers, reputable developers doing? Where are they making the constructions? What kind of homes are they building? What kind of units are they building? They study a lot. They spend hundreds of thousands of dollars doing analytics, demographics, and trends studies with traffic, income, migration, etc., etc. So you don't have to do that. As a small investors, we don't have the bandwidth or the money to do that. So do and follow the developers, keep in touch with them, see where they're going, see what kind of homes are they building, see what kind of pricing they're having, and follow that trend. I'll give you an example. I sold a property 3 years ago, sold it to a developer who was making it for Starbucks. And while we were in escrow, they spent 3 months, because it was subject to studies, they spent 3 months studying the local area, the local traffic, the demographic, the income, the kind of people there are. They spend anywhere, I think they spent $50,000. Then they bought. So I know that the location was great because Starbucks approved it. So if I was a investor and if a property came near the Starbucks area, I would buy it because it's a great property to invest in. The demographics, the analytics, and the trends suit investments. So follow developers, follow local trends, be in touch. And one of the ways you can be in touch is having a network of realtors and appraisers and developers and lenders. So it's all about networking and keeping in touch. The next tip is don't over improve your property. One of the fastest way to burn money, it is over improving your home. Whether it is your home or whether you have a rental, don't overdo it. I've sold a house for about $400,000 back in the Riverside County, which is about half an hour from here. Then I've seen the owner spend $80,000 just on the kitchen. Guess what? Your rate of return is not going to be there. Now if you sell, there's no way you're going to get $480,000. So I don't think it was right for them to spend $80,000. It was overdone and they will never get the return on investment again. Similarly, if you buy a rental property, let's say it's a duplex or a fourplex, and if a dishwasher breaks and you have to fix it or replace it, go ahead and replace it, but don't buy the most expensive one like the one you would buy for your home. If it's your home, then yes, buy a nicest one, the best one, the trendy one, and something very reasonable, if not very, very expensive. But if it's for a rental unit or an apartment unit that you own or a house that you own, you want to buy a dishwasher that is reasonably priced, not something very cheap, but definitely not very expensive. Or if you're replacing the flooring or the carpets, don't overdo, don't overspend, because rental properties are about cash flow. And the more you spend, the more you overspend, the less returns you get. So it is very critical, very important that you don't over improve properties. I've seen people, I'll give an example. There was an agent that I was talking to and he sold an investment property to a first-time home buyers. The property was worth $250,000. It needed some work, maybe $20,000, $30,000 worth of work. But then a year later, when the agent went to talk to them, the seller says, guess what? I put a solar system to save electricity for my tenant. Do you know how much they spent on the solar system? They spent $80,000 on a solar system. Absolutely ridiculous. How can somebody who can buy a property for $250,000, fix it up for $25,000 to $30,000, then put a with $80,000 solar system, the returns are never going to be around. Those owners lost money because they did not know what they were doing, and I know for sure they were scammed into buying it. So be cautious. Don't get oversold on things. Don't overdo it, and people overdo it all the time. But the smart investors, the knowledgeable investors, the people who have contacts and keep up with it never make such mistakes. But believe me, I've seen it all day long. I see people improving more than they should, and they lose money in the long term. One of the biggest difference between the people who get wealthy buying real estate and the people who don't get wealthy buying real estate or trying to make money in real estate is that the people who make money in real estate, and I mean good money, make sound decisions and not emotional decisions. The regular mom and pop investor who does not make money is the kind of investors who make emotional decisions and not make decisions based on return on investment, cash flow, cap rate, etc. So that's a big no-no. And the guys who put on that solar system made an emotional decision or got sold on something they were not supposed to. So let's not make those kind of mistakes, because it'll cost you forever. The wealthy upgrade just enough to meet market standards, not to outshine it. Stick with neutral, timeless improvements. Don't waste cash on fads. Strategy number 7. Always think about an exit strategy. Smart investors buy with the end in mind. Remember why you are buying. Are you buying for cash flow? Are you buying for long term? Are you buying to flip it? So you have to keep these things in mind. So if you buy a flip property, for example, where you buy something really cheap, fix it up fast, 2 or 3 months, and then sell it, that's a different strategy than you buy something right now. Let's say I have people telling me, hey, Mike, is it a good time to invest right now with high prices and high interest rate? And I say, you know what? Yes, if you are ready, willing, and able to buy and think long term, it's a great time to buy even right now, because if you buy right now, even paying 6.5%, even paying high prices, and if you're going to keep the property for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, I can guarantee you 2 things. If you rent it out, you're going to get high rents because rents are high. You are able to refinance it later on, so you'll drop your payments. The other thing is you're going to take a lot of tax write-off and depreciation and other accounting principles where you will make money on paper. So depends what your strategy is. Are you buying long term? Are you buying short term? Always keep that in mind. The other strategy, if you're starting, is what kind of property should you buy? Should you buy a fourplex? Should you buy a single-story home? Should you start with a condo? If you're a first-time buyer, don't have a lot of money, you can buy a little fixer or a condo. Buy it, work on it, put some sweat equity into it, wait 2 or 3 years, and then when the market goes up, you can sell it and do a 1031 exchange and then buy a house or buy a fourplex. In fact, the fourplex that I'm selling right now, I mentioned earlier, I have a fourplex that I sold for 1.1. We're selling it for 1.3, and those investors, friends of mine, are now doing an exchange for a 6plex or an 8plex. So their exit strategy is they want to buy something and keep growing without paying any taxes and increase the portfolio by making smart decisions, by buying it right, selling it right, saving on taxes, saving on cash flow, making money on tax deductions and depreciation. So to strategize, the other thing that we recommend is talk to realtors, talk to lenders, also talk to your accountant to see what's best way to do it or what's best way not to do it, or even talk to a financial planner. They will give you ideas. The more information you have, the more pointers you have on what kind of decision to make, the better off and the more profitable it is to make money in real estate. Real estate is pretty simple if you know what you're doing, if you have all the ducks in a row, and if you have a network of people who can help you, advise you, help you strategize. That's the key. You're not alone in this. We can help you. Hit us up. We can refer you to the smart people that you need help with. Here's point number 8, and that is buy because of tax advantages. One of the biggest reasons wealthy people buy real estate and even pay high price. Like I said earlier, I just sold some properties to investors in this market in California when it's very expensive, when it is 6.8, 6.9%. I just sold a rental at 7%. But guess what? The strategy for my investor, and I have sold him 7 properties, is the tax advantage. Yes, he's going to buy these properties and he's going to keep them. So after 10, 15 years, it's guaranteed or pretty much guaranteed that the value, if he buys for $1 million, it'll be worth $2 million. At the same time, the tenants are paying his mortgage. All he has to do is come up with the down payment. But the other advantage he's getting is he gets tax write-off. write-offs. The property taxes are deductible, interest rates are deductible, any improvement he does to the property is deductible. If the property is vacant when you first buy, 1 or 2 months it may be vacant, that's called shrinkage, that is deductible. So all these are deductible items and saves you money, because if you're an attorney, if you're a doctor, and a lot of my clients are professionals, they're making so much money, they're paying so much taxes. So I sell them investment properties so they get all these write-offs. In fact, I sold a property in Los Angeles County last year, and my client, I told him when he bought the property that after he rents it out and after he pays his mortgage, he's going to go negative $500 a month. And he said, Mike, I'm okay with it. So even with a negative, because it's a tax write-off for him, he makes so much money. The wife is a doctor, he's an attorney, and they make so much money that 500 loss will make up on paying taxes on the other end. So to make money is another strategy, and saving taxes is a big one. That's why a lot of investors, even mom and pop investors, do 1031 exchanges, because they don't want to pay the capital gains tax. So I'm not an accountant, but on this one, I would strongly suggest that you talk to your accountant and understand how the taxes work, how the 1031 exchanges work, because one of the biggest benefits of real estate, one of the biggest reasons why wealthy keep buying real estate is because of tax advantage and the appreciation and the depreciation. Tip number 9 is avoiding over leveraging. Too much debt and not enough reserves, that's the average homeowner's trap. So if you buy a property, make sure that you are cash flowing, or if it's not cash flowing, you have some reserves so you can pay the property taxes or increase in insurance or maintenance, etc. The wealthy don't stretch too thin. They keep cash on hand, so they're never desperate. That means they don't take bad tenants, they don't slash rents, and they don't sell too soon. Cash isn't wasted sitting, it's dry powder for when the market shifts. So always have a reserve. Anything could happen. Your tenants can stop paying you. The tenants can have a major damage in there. So when they move out, you might have to have some money to fix it. So if you have some money to invest, don't invest all of it. We always recommend that you have 3, 4, 5 months of reserve for the rental property. But on an average, if you own your own home, the experts always say that you should have any from 3 to 6 months of reserves anyways. But if you're investing, then that's an additional reserve that you may want to have for an emergency. So it's always good not to be over leveraged, because if something happens, if the tenant calls you, or if you have to fix something, if you don't have if you do not have any money to fix the property or do something in the property, you may lose the tenant, and if they move out, then you might have a vacancy. Now that adds to your negative cash flow. Tip number 10, foreclosures aren't always deals. Everyone loves the idea of snagging a foreclosure, but here's the truth. Most are foreclosures for a reason. So maybe you buy a property that's a foreclosure, but they may have liens on there which comes with the property. They may have extra work that you buy the property cheap, but it may cost you $50, $60, $70, $100,000 to fix it up. Plus it takes you 2 months to fix it up. So foreclosures are always not the best way to buy properties. There are deals out there. So to find great deals, you don't need foreclosures. So you don't have to buy a foreclosure to make great deals, to buy great deals. Also, who knows when the foreclosures are coming? And also when the foreclosures come, that means the housing market is not great, economy is not great. You might lose a job, you might lose businesses, you may not be able to get a loan. So don't wait for foreclosures to buy properties. Most of the investors who buy properties are not foreclosure, because the ratio or the percentage of foreclosure homes for sale right now is pretty much zero. And in the last 4 or 5 years, thousands and thousands of investors have bought properties. So these rich people who know what they're doing are not buying foreclosures. Why are you looking for a foreclosure? That may not be the right strategy. Did I say strategy? Yes, strategy. So know your strategy. Point number 1 is, are you making the right decisions to buy a property? You may want to talk to an accountant, lender, or a realtor. Direct message me. I'll be glad to talk to you. Here's the other issue with foreclosures. You might have a bad location. You might have to come up with major repairs. It might have foundation issues, and it might have legal and lien issues on the property, which you inherit when you buy a foreclosures, at least a lot of foreclosures. Wealthy investors aren't chasing the cheapest property. They're looking for quality homes in solid neighborhoods that will appreciate over time, and they'll be able to fetch great rent or market rents, or where they can increase rents as time goes by. Cheap isn't always the smart move. Here's the bonus point, and that is use your home equity. Use your property equity to buy other properties. We all know that in the last 10 years, if you own your properties in the last 5 years, 10 years, in my case, I've owned my property for 25 years and my home value has quadrupled. So I have a lot of equity. The people, the investors that I sold property to for 10 years ago, 15 years ago, their homes have doubled. So guess what they did? Now that the home doubled, the homes I sold for $500,000 are now $1 million. So what they've done is they've gotten home equity line of credit, or they have refinanced, pulled cash out and bought another property. Now they pull out enough money so that if they rent the house, the mortgage is paid, and then with the additional money they have in their hand, they buy another property. So now they're using their home equity, the cash that you build up over the years, and buy another property. And then after 3-4 years, when the home appreciates, they'll pull money out of their second property and third property and fourth property, and that's how they buy and build portfolio. A lot of my friends and clients ask me, hey Mike, where are these people getting all this money? In Southern California, everything is $1 million. And I tell them they're using their home equity line of credit, they're using their equity in the rental property, they're pulling money out, buying property, and making sure that they cash flow. So a secret that nobody uses is use your equity. You have a lot of money. America is equity rich and cash poor. But the wealthy people take the equity because it's just sitting there. Pull 100,000 out, 50,000 out, $500,000 out, buy another property, and they gain appreciation on average of 4% per year. They gain tax deductions. They gain depreciation. So they are gaining versus the money in your home that's just sitting there is zero appreciation, zero depreciation, zero. Just things wealthy people do is they leverage, they use their equity very smartly, very methodically, and increase their portfolio after every 2 or 3 years. So here's the takeaway. The wealthy don't win in real estate by luck. They win because they use strategy, location, timing, networks, tax advantages, and patience. If you start thinking like they do, you'll stop playing defense in real estate and start playing offense. Real estate is a long play game. Play smart and you are guaranteed to win. Please watch this video. And by the way, my name is Mike Patel and I appreciate you watching my videos.